The Ready, Set, Grow podcast is sponsored by Ag Expert, software designed for Canadian agriculture. Visit them today at agexpert.ca.
Welcome to the Ready, Set, Grow podcast, where we like to showcase startup and early stage companies, as well as visit with innovators in the agriculture and food industry. My name is Michael Dales with RH Accelerator, and today we're here with Matthew Appleby and Ryan Appleby of Obi Veterinary Education. Matthew and Ryan, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
Ryan, would you be able to go and tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Michael. So I'm a veterinary radiologist. And so I work at the Ontario Veterinary College and do a combination of clinical work and teaching at the institution. And so that's what kind of drew me to start Obi Veterinary Education, was my passion for education and bringing some knowledge about veterinary radiology to practitioners of veterinary medicine who need it. And so, yeah, that's kind of who I am and where I come from.
Okay. Yeah, Matthew, can you give us your quick background as well?
For sure. I would consider myself a business generalist in some ways. I have experience with small business and sales and partnership. So when Ryan had this vision for a better continuing education platform, he approached me, and we had been talking about it for a few months before we actually launched. And I've been helping him develop the platform, the way veterinarians can connect with each other, the learning experience, as well as our marketing and business operations.
Okay. I'm sure a lot of our listeners haven't heard about Obi Vet before. So can you give us sort of a quick overview on what your platform is and your product?
Absolutely. And no worries if you haven't heard of Obi, as we just launched in January of this year, 2021. So we're fairly new to the scene. But as Ryan mentioned earlier, he saw this opportunity and this pain point for veterinarians in the way that they were completing their continuing education. Most were completing it at long online webinars or conferences in person. And while they might have been enjoyable, the retention wasn't there that allowed them to actually improve their clinical practice. And I mean, Ryan can speak to this more in a minute, but the idea of microlearning really stuck with us, and these digestible small chunks that veterinarians can complete whenever they're ready, whether that's at home and they want a refresher or on the clinic floor as they're treating a patient. Something that's easily accessible, trusted content, and available when they need it. And so we got to work on just what does that look like? And we kind of sketched out this platform that veterinarians can connect with each other, share best resources, loaded with tons of free resources for vets. There are paid courses on the site that are RACE approved, which is the accredited body in North America. And we really want to grow a community of dedicated veterinary professionals who want to learn.
It's awesome. Sort of what areas are you focusing on sort of right now since you just launched?
Yeah, so right now we just focus on veterinary radiology, which is my background. And so there are, like Matthew said, a number of courses predominantly for small animal radiology, looking at both thoracic and abdominal imaging. And those are things that veterinarians do in practice every day. They're taking X-rays or radiographs of dogs and cats, thoraxes and abdomens, for a whole host of variety of reasons. And so that's where our focus is right now. And in the coming months, we're expanding into other specialties. And so we're working with specialists in dentistry, cardiology, surgery, and have started conversations with a number of other specialties to start to expand into some of those other areas of specialty based on what our users are telling us that they really are interested in and what they want to see next.
Okay, perfect. I know a lot of our listeners would probably be more interested in food animals and such. Do you have any sort of idea if you'll go into that area more, or just stay with sort of the small companion animals?
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of one of our next steps as well. And so working with other specialists in areas for large animal medicine to find some pieces that would be really valuable for folks that are treating, especially things like cows and horses, those are kind of the areas that we're going to dive into next to support sort of the agriculture industry through supporting the veterinarians that support the farmers. And so, yeah, that's kind of where we're headed next with that, is some herd health management and infectious disease type courses relating to especially bovine practice, but maybe some other areas as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so I guess if there's any like veterinarians who'd be interested in your platform, they can like find it through your website. And is it currently like an online platform, or do you have an app developed for it?
Yeah, any veterinarian or anyone can find us at obivet.com. It's free to make an account, and we do have a free course as well as some additional resources available. So lots to dig in there if you are interested. The app is in our roadmap, certainly, as we grow and add specialties, and we're able to drive deeper engagement with these vets. We will be developing an app. Right now, the website works pretty well on mobile, so feel free to dive in on any internet-enabled device that you have.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I was lucky enough to hear you go through the Griffin's Lair pitch competition, and you were the overall winners of the 10,000 grand prize. So congratulations on that again.
Thank you.
Can you just take us through that process a little bit? And so going from pitching, getting to feedback from the judges, and then to the sort of selection process.
Yeah, I can start, and maybe Ryan can finish us off here. But we were part of a accelerator program through the University of Guelph that included a number of opportunities, one of which was this Griffin's Lair pitch competition. And as you mentioned, there was a grand prize of $10,000, which we were lucky enough to win. And the process for us, it really helped us, I should say. We just launched in January. We actually joined the accelerator before our public launch, and the mentorship team there helped us develop our platform, helped us refine our marketing message and really what we wanted to lead with and launch with. And then when the pitch competition came around, we were connected with a number of unique business mentors who were able to help us speak to our market share, the potential opportunity, our value proposition, and really refine that pitch deck to a point where we were selected by the panel of judges to win the grand prize, which is pretty cool. And even as I say it, it hasn't really sunk in. So I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have much more addition to add there. It's been a great opportunity to be able to work with the team at Accelerator Guelph. And like Matthew said, I think the mentorship especially has been something that's been incredibly valuable to us, and to especially help kind of fine tune some of the aspects of the business that don't come from our individual backgrounds, and to help shape some of that for us.
Are there any other resources that have helped you sort of along the way?
Yeah, I think that I'm a big fan of podcasts, and I recently listened to a few episodes of yours, so I appreciate those. I think that there's some other really great podcasts out there for folks that are looking to start businesses and start to think about things like that. One of my favorite ones is the Indie Hackers podcast for anybody kind of looking to bootstrap and kind of start up an internet business. I think that's a really cool option. Startups for the Rest of Us is another kind of podcast in that space that I really enjoy. And there's a lot of, depending on the kind of business you want to start or the things that you're looking for, startups.com or kind of other internet-based resources for folks looking to get involved with these kind of things, I think have been pretty helpful.
Yeah, those sound like some good resources to use. You started your business or officially launched 6 months ago. I'm sure you were working on it way before that. What's one thing that you wish you knew before you started, and maybe that you could go back and change now that you're 6 months in?
It's a good question. I think for me, it's that nothing is set in stone. Things are constantly changing and iterative, and that kind of leads into this idea of not being afraid to fail. I think when Ryan and I were starting the business, we thought who are we? We're first-time founders. We've got a little bit of background and experience in this, but who are we to really start a company? And the idea of just getting past that hurdle and understanding that some things are going to work and some things aren't. And as long as you're flexible and able to iterate and pivot, everyone's favorite word in 2020 and 2021 is just pivot. And we did a couple times, and that really helped. So I think if there's any founders out there thinking about starting a business, just remember every founder, no matter how successful, was a first-time founder at some point, and getting over that first hurdle, failing the first couple times, and continuing on is incredibly important.
Yeah, that's some great advice. Ryan, did you have sort of one thing that you wish you knew before you started this journey?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, maybe just kind of thinking about starting with some market research aspect of things. So, we definitely came from a point of kind of understanding the industry from my perspective, kind of identifying something that we thought would help and benefit the industry. But I think a little bit additional kind of market research off the top as we were going through our product development, can really either accelerate that in the right direction or kind of push us towards some things. And I think that's may have just helped us grow to where we are today, and maybe a little bit of a quicker way. So just trying to find some folks who can help with that and engage with that before kind of launching into things might be a good piece of advice.
Oh, perfect. I know when we're speaking with a lot of small companies, a lot of them have a really strong reason why they started their business. Maybe it was a hurdle that they've had in their past, or like an obstacle that they had to overcome, and something that would have helped them on their journey. So can you take us through sort of your why for starting Obi?
Yeah, I mean, this is really sort of our big thing and our reason for being. And for me, it was the pain that I felt trying to complete my own continuing education and the things that I experienced as a learner going through veterinary school and then my advanced training beyond that. We have to take in a ton of information, and veterinary medicine is getting more and more complex. There's always new drugs. Medicine is advancing at a rapid scale. And it's something that I think veterinarians and veterinary students get a little bit overwhelmed with how much they need to know. And I think that the style of teaching and the style of continuing education hasn't fully kept up with what we know about kind of best practices in education. And the idea behind having these shorter lessons, especially with younger learners who are used to short, engaging pieces of content online, is something that I really wanted to explore and engage with for veterinary medicine specifically. And so for me, it's a struggle at the end of a long day of work or at the end of a week to sit down and do a full hour-length webinar. And I think that other veterinarians experience that pain as well. Talking to some of my friends who just kind of need to find ways to fit that CE into their schedule. And so finding ways to deliver it in short chunks. Our lessons are never more than 5 minutes. And so it gives veterinarians this opportunity to complete their continuing education less than 5 minutes a day. And I think that this is something that I would have loved to have had as a student, and even now today in other areas that I'm looking to get my own CE in. And so that's why I'm excited to bring on some of these other specialists who I can then in turn listen to as a user of Obi, as well as somebody who provides some content on there.
Okay. Can we talk a little bit about just the content on the app? How are you going to structure that? You said bring on other specialists. Will they continue to own that content and use it other places, or will it be specific for the app? And how are, you planning to onboard these specialists as well?
Yeah, I can take that question again. So for us, that's a really important piece, and something that I also see in the industry as being a bit of a challenge is that veterinarians that have a specialty and provide a lot of this continuing education should retain the intellectual property for their educational resources. And so that's a big thing for us, is that we want the veterinary specialists to maintain their own IP. And so we work with them to create the content. We engage with them to give us an exclusive right to distribute it. But in doing that, we say that, it's still their intellectual property. And so they have kind of creative control over it. If they want to pull it from the site, they have creative control over that. And of course, like in terms of teaching, they can use the concepts, maybe not the videos themselves, but use the concepts in all other aspects of their education. And we pay them in perpetuity. So right now, kind of the way the industry is structured is that you get a kind of one-time honorarium or one-time payment for delivering an hour-long lecture at either a conference or on a CE platform. And I mean, truth be told, it doesn't feel exactly fair that those get recorded and those maintain on these websites. Those companies keep them forever and they become part of their catalog, and that's it. You've kind of given them those rights. And so as a specialist myself, that's something that, if somebody had offered me to maintain the intellectual property and retain the rights to my educational content, that's something I would have been really interested in. And so I want to be able to give that back to my colleagues and offer them the opportunity to keep that as well.
Yeah, that's a good model. And I think it's the content, and owning the content is really important for a lot of people. And but also, if they have full control of the content, selling them that, I guess, content to a competitor to create a sort of competing product isn't always the best situation. I know that sort of that continuing education piece is really big, and a lot of different companies I know the learning new languages is a big sector for that and has really sort of grown over time. How did you sort of think of putting this microlearning and almost gamification into an app for vets?
I think you almost hit on it there. When we were early on developing the idea, we kept saying to each other, it's Duolingo for vets. It's quick and easy. It's gamified. It's an enjoyable experience. As the specifics kind of develop themselves, obviously it's not exactly Duolingo for vets, but I think that concept of using gamification, which includes users earning points and badges for the content that they enroll in and learn on the site, it helps. And we've seen it already help with our engagement of users. We've seen the literature, especially in the medical profession, about how the potential of this mechanism, this learning mechanism, and we're excited for what it can become. When we think about the other veterinary CE providers, I know you mentioned competitors quickly. It's a diverse landscape, and we know that we are a bit of a niche market in the sense of somebody who's looking to complete their CE online. We are RACE certified, and it is microlearning. There will always be a place for your conference or your in-person wet lab to learn hard skills. So we really want to act as a complementary feature to these other options. And we are happy for our specialists to engage in other ways, and for our members and our learners to attend those conferences, attend those wet labs, complete CE elsewhere, to create a comprehensive picture of their education.
Thank you for sharing that. I guess before we head out, is there anything else you'd want our listeners to know about?
No, I think I appreciate the time. I think the last plug I'll give is visit us at obivet.com. Check it out. We are still in development. If you have any feedback, please shoot us a note through the contact form. My email is matthew@obivet.com. Ryan is ryan@obivet.com. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Perfect. I guess one of the other things we sort of like to talk about with small businesses is is there anything that you need, and is there any way that people could support you to continue this process?
I think that's it right there. The iteration and the iterative process of hearing from our users and hearing from people in the community has been incredibly helpful. So as people use the site, whether they're members or not, we would love to hear about their experience. That feedback helps us add new specialties, develop the site in new ways, add new features. So if you're out there and you're interested at all, please get in touch.
I think maybe just tell your vet, share this podcast with your veterinarian the next time your little pup or kitten or they come out for your cows or whatever the case might be. Let them know about us, and we're always going to be adding new features and adding new courses and content and specialties. So if you're a vet listening, if you don't see something up there for you now, check back or join the site and you'll get some email notifications when new things are added.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing where you guys take the company in the next 6 to 12 months, and hopefully we can chat about it in a year when you've sort of fully built out your platform. I just also wanted to thank our listeners for tuning into the Ready, Set, Grow podcast today. And thank you again, Matthew and Ryan, for joining us to talk about Obi Veterinary education.
Thank you, Michael. It's been a pleasure.